Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns and welcome once again to another edition of Sound Off Louisiana. I'm going to make introduction, but I'm sure anybody who's followed this blog for any length of time would know who this is. This is Mr. Carl Cavalier, former Louisiana State Police trooper whose service, in my opinion, was invaluable in exposing some things that happened. We'll let it go at that because most everyone would know what I refer to. But I try never to just drop any matter, and I've tried to keep everybody up to speed on where Carl stands. We just did a feature, I don't know, about 5 weeks or so, give or take. It's now public knowledge that Mr. Cavalier did file bankruptcy, and the core element of that, and the only reason I even covered it, is because I was going to be very curious as to how the attorney's situation was going to get resolved. And I did make the statement on that video that, in my opinion, it would only seem to be equitable, despite the fact that I vehemently cannot express my anger over the way Ms. Craft did not honor his desires. And we're going to reproduce those video clips. They're actually audios, where you can see all of the efforts he made saying, I don't want to settle this case. Nevertheless, it got settled. But just to bring everybody up to speed, there was the bankruptcy trustee, as I said on the prior video, said, hey, look, this is very complicated. I got to hire an expert. Expert is hired. Bankruptcy trustee makes a filing saying, okay, the attorneys have now agreed. And by the way, I happen to, once in a while, I hit one. They said that the attorney should get the full $80,000, 40% of the $200,000 settlement. And the way it was split is that, now I'm told in the pleading we're going to provide every document that it referenced to make this feature. I'm told it got quite acrimonious between the Carver law firm and the Craft law firm. But ultimately it was decided that, or they agreed to, that Ms. Craft would get $72,000 out of the $80,000 and the Carver law firm would get $8,000. Mr. Cavalier did file an overall objection to the totality of the amount of the legal fees. It's his desire to have that 40% figure reduced to 33 1/3%. The bankruptcy trustee filed a reply to his objection, basically saying that there's no legal basis for doing that. There was a contract that was entered into and it called for 40%. The bankruptcy trustee also itemized out or referenced the number of hours that Ms. Craft said she had invested into this, as well as the Carver law firm, and basically is saying there's no justification for not honoring that contract. That brings you up to speed, and again, we're going to provide those, I can't thank this gentleman enough for those audio files, because you get a behind-the-scenes look at what happens in these type things. And I found particularly interesting Ms. Craft downplaying the prospects. And she may be accurate on that, I don't know. I think it would be nice to tell people that on the front end if it's really that bleak, okay? So Mr. Cavalier, the floor is totally yours. I'm not gonna say another word unless you ask me to. You can provide your entire commentary over this whole long proceeding. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, first of all, I appreciate you always covering accurately and fairly. So no matter who is the fairness is for or against, you always provide an accurate reporting of the stories that's going on surrounding around Ronald Green and myself. Well, first of all, the bankruptcy hearing that took place, that's taking place in New Orleans, is a decision that I made to file bankruptcy because of things surrounding around my financial situation. Of course, is the reason people file bankruptcy. I decided to do that to give myself, a clean slate. The money never motivated me from the settlement. As you can see, in all the articles, I've denied, wanting the money, wanted my job back, of course.
Yeah.
But now I'm at a point to where, I'm just trying to get this behind me, because I understand, courtroom proceedings. I understand, the law. I don't have a full understanding of it, but I understand it enough that, hey, you reach a certain point, there's exercise in fertility to continue to fight, over things that's been ruled on already. So at this point, I'm just trying to get things behind me. And, the hearing today was a surprise to me. I didn't know what it was about, but, as we learned a short moment ago, that The judge here at the Middle District, you know, has no more, I guess, jurisdiction over.
He said that, and you would have thought that was common sense. Quite frankly, I was surprised to see this hearing even take place. But what we did find out is that this magistrate judge, Richard Bourgeois, was unaware of the bankruptcy filing, and the attorneys themselves said they were not aware. I don't know at what point they did become aware. I knew about it for a long time. However, I refrained from reporting on it and only decided to do so when I knew, okay, we got to find out how this $200,000 is going to get divvied up, particularly the amount for the attorneys. So I like to cover things from beginning to end. Unfortunately, this is the end of, at least for the Carl Cavalier episode. There's still plenty to still be done from the, if you will, the revelations that got made from acts that he was brave enough to do. We all remember the WBRZ feature, and even Chris Nakamoto said at that he was risking everything. Right. He has risked everything. I'm not even, if he wants to volunteer it, he can. I won't ask him if you would rewind the clock, would you do the same thing over again? I did do that of Corey Delahousse, who was one of my first interviewees on Sound Off. He said, I wouldn't change a thing, Robert. You got to stand up for what's right. At least that didn't happen to you. So,
right.
So it could be worse. I hate to tell you, but it could be worse. So,
I mean,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I would like to address that. Would I do it over again? I would do it over again because of the reason why I did it. You know, the reason why I did it, a man was murdered. A man was brutally murdered in my eyes. And, you know, in the eyes of most of people I've run into or spoken to, it was obvious, you know. So I stood up for a man that couldn't stand up for himself. Stood up for a family that, you know, needed someone to stand up for him. And I was, you know, I would hope that someone would do that for me if I was in an unfortunate position. I hope someone would do that for my family as well. And at the end of the day, you know, I was sworn to do just that, you know, to report a crime or, you know, take action, protect and serve, you know. So I wouldn't change a thing about the fact that I took that step or those steps, but I would, you know, hindsight is always better. Hindsight is always better, you know, so I would do things a little different, tweak it, and just be smart about it, you know, be smart about picking, you know, attorneys and what have you, or just researching the law a little bit more myself before making a decision. So, you know, it is what it is, and I'm just at this point just trying to get things behind me as far as it goes at this particular moment with this situation surrounding my case and myself and state police. I want to get things behind me so I can, you know, continue to move forward, because things is not, you know, it's I feel like I'm in a better position in life right now, you know, because of this. So, you know, there's a silver lining. You know?
There always is, and just to let everybody know, time does fly. It may not seem like it's flying for him because 3 years is a long time to go through law school, but he is in the second year, first semester. So it'll be just a matter of time before he'll be one of the ones arguing rather than watching proceedings as he had to do today. So, Carl, thank you so much for everything. By the way, the Ronald Green trial, unless things get changed, will be on October the 28th. That is not that far off because today is the 18th of September, so we're only looking about another 40 days. It is our intent, in fact, unless lightning strikes me dead or some other calamity, I intend to be there from the beginning, the jury selection, everything. I have no idea how long the trial may take. I'm sure there'll be other outlets there that'll probably give a little bit more timely features than I will. However, I'll try to make that up with a little bit more in-depth coverage than you catch on the nightly news. So it's been an interesting journey. I've learned a lot. I trust everybody's learned a lot. I really cannot overemphasize what we learned in those audio files between Mr. Cavalier and Ms. Craft, and for that reason, it's been quite a while since we published those. We are going to republish them in this feature. If you missed them the first time, set aside a little bit of time. They're only, I don't know, about 20 minutes each, give or take, maybe a little longer, and I think there's maybe 4, I don't remember the number, but trust me, it's worth the time. What you will learn from this is invaluable at his expense, and obviously, if nothing else, when you go into a federally mandated mediation hearing, make sure you get what you want, because the second you say okay, it's over, okay? And he's living proof of it. So And we're going to have another matter. Well, we got several matters about state police that we'll be reporting on. One of them was a real shock to me, but I've been shocked before. But I've got too much stacked up, and we got State Police Commission meeting tomorrow, so just got to space this out. But trust me, there's plenty still to report on state police. Surprise, surprise. So thank you once again, Carl. I want you to wish you the best in law school and being your attorney career and everything else in life. And you may have your detractors out there, I'm sure you know that, but you also got your supporters, because whether you like him or hate him, we learned a lot from him, and I thank you for it.
Yes, it's been definitely an expensive lesson, but nonetheless, it's my lesson, to take and do as I wish with it, and I feel like already, I'm in a better place because of it. So, and I appreciate the support, all the support from the people around the state, around the country, even outside the country, really. So I'm grateful for that, and you'll be hearing and seeing more of me,
There you go. Who knows? We may see him on one of them television commercials saying, "Have you been injured in a car accident?" We don't know. We never know. So, all righty. Thank you once again. Again, we'll be covering. This will be published after the State Police Commission, but since we're doing it the day before, trust me, I will be at the State Police Commission meeting tomorrow. There ought to be a number of interesting developments at that commission our meeting tomorrow. So thank you for your dedication, and we'll look to see you again real soon. Thank you so much.